the dip is where people give up. One thing I've learned is your degree isn't necessarily your career. I originally came from Kenya. I started in computer science, but I pivoted to math. Right now, professionally, what I'm doing is business analysis of data and analytics. I came to terms recently that I'm a generalist. If I want to specialize, that will mean that I'll have to leave all of these things which I'm inherently passionate about or interested in. Fear is just this huge blocker that we have, and people think, what are they going to think of me? Turns out not many people will think about you.
Success is reaching your goals. Your goals are reached by the habits or games you play every day. DasGamePodcast is my attempt to document the games people play that make them successful and help you figure out how and what to play. Enjoy. For me, starting the podcast, I thought that it's going to be just me basically recording and then a little bit of editing, but it turned out to be almost 90% of me just cutting stuff up, like something not working, maybe Apple not granting me the access to do a podcast, whatever. Like it's so a hassle. It's 90% is just editing and redistribution, and 10% maybe is like recording stuff. So I've been slacking pretty bad with the recording part of things. So I'm pretty happy that this kind of worked out. So I'm probably going to have more content that I can work on and even practice my English skills and stuff. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Looking forward to it. I think you're on a great start and we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, let's see. What about the Duolingo bird behind you?
Oh, so this guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been a user of Duolingo for the past 7 years, actually. But I started taking it seriously back in the pandemic. So more like 4 years today. Okay, not today, but just 4 years since 2020. And I did Spanish. I'm still doing it right now. Chinese, Arabic, and Hindi, and also music. I'm on a 1,000-day streak. Let me check. So I'm on day 1146 consecutive days. I don't know if you can see it.
Where does it say? Oh, yeah.
Right, yeah.
1,146 days streak.
And so last year they were saying, oh, if you have a plushie, just buy it. And I'm like, okay, I'll buy it. But Duolingo has been really good for me to learn languages and I like it.
A girlfriend of mine, she started like a week ago because she's trying to be a flight attendant just to see other parts of the world and start something else. And she wanted to practice her English a little bit more, so she downloaded it. But I think it's nowhere close to what you're doing if you're telling me that you're learning multiple different languages that are not even in the same domain, because English and Spanish and French and Italian are like the same Roman languages, but then Arabic and what else? Chinese, Mandarin,
right?
What did you just?
And Hindi.
Yeah, and Hindi.
Actually, you bring a good point because I also started doing Italian, and my main motivations for learning the different languages was because gambling in the future, I see myself assimilating with those cultures, maybe at work, maybe personally, all that. Like say, I started Duolingo 7 years ago when I was even in the United States yet. And I knew I would talk to a lot of Spanish people, Hispanics, have friends and all that. Somebody at the time said it wasn't going to be a feasible idea just because the economy is going Chinese. But I'm thinking, let me just start because I want to see how far this goes. And like you said, it's one of the Spanish Romance languages. Started it 4 years ago. It's paying off. I just have few instances. I talk to maybe people at church, maybe people I meet at work in Spanish, just the little Spanish I know. The same thing went to Hindi. I talked to a lot of Hindi people at my work. There are a lot of Indians who appreciate that. Italian, this is very interesting because I pray that years to come, I have my honeymoon in Venice. So basically, I'm learning Italian for just that 1 week. I'll be over there. And then Chinese, Arabic, same thing. I have a lot of Arabic friends. Chinese because of the economy. If you want to do business with Chinese, you have to know their language. So that's what maybe is considered.
But you think that the Chinese people or almost every person worldwide at a certain level English?
They do. at some point. And something I realized is nationalism is a huge asset. Like it's a huge spirit people have. Let's say you go to Germany, right? Of course, there are Germans who speak English. There are those who would understand what I'm saying. But they would more or less, I don't know if this is true, at least with Germany, they would more or less appreciate if you spoke their own language because one, it creates that way of intimacy, that level of understanding that wouldn't be gotten if I spoke English with them. Way with Chinese, and this is actually an example my aunt told me, is that she visited, I think, not Taiwan, Beijing, maybe like 16 years ago, and said that there are people who speak English over there, but they don't speak it by choice, because if you want to do business over there, you must speak Chinese. That was the law back then. I don't know if it holds now, maybe it does. So then essentially that's to say that English is more like a universal language. It's a language that somebody from South Africa and somebody from hopefully Brazil would know. But if you speak the local dialect in a way that they can actually understand and know you're putting effort, then I think you're getting more out of that relationship as opposed to speaking something broader. So that was my understanding with at least starting Chinese.
I guess you're right that pretty much every person appreciates you putting in the effort. So if you're coming to Germany, even if you just learn basic stuff like Dankeschön, hello, whatever, right? We will see that you put in the effort and maybe like you a little bit more. But I guess especially in Germany or those Nordic countries here, everyone speaks so good English at the, let's say, higher college educated level that we also almost expect to do the international business talking in English. So we have even in schools, like in normal average school, you have those English teachings where they basically call it business English or like for corporate jobs and stuff. So you'd always learn the terminology for doing basic, how do you say, not debates, but like, yeah, writing invoices and stuff in English. So the basic business stuff. Yeah.
I like it.
But so did you come to the US? Did you move there?
Yeah, I moved there. I originally came from Kenya. That was 6 years ago. Yeah, my mom, she was the forefront of the whole move because she got a good opportunity there. She works with a nonprofit that caters to teenagers and the whole community. And it was a project that was liked internationally. So that got her here, and the rest is history.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what are you working on right now? I saw that you, I think, finished a degree in applied computational mathematics.
Close to that.
Close to that.
Yeah. So I started in computer science, but I pivoted to math because coding got a little bit heavy for me. So I put that on the side. So I did computer science and math. And right now, professionally, what I'm doing is the business analysis of data and analytics. I'll just simplify that. Basically, and by the way, I work for the Bank of New York Mellon, so BNY Mellon. We're the bank of the government. We have $47 trillion in assets under management, all the good stuff. So essentially what I do is ChatGPT, obviously, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's a tool called the ThoughtSpot that's pretty much like ChatGPT and Google, but for data analysis. And so ThoughtSpot makes you your own professional data analyst in as little as 30 minutes to as long as maybe 2 or 3 days, depending on the effort. And so my job specifically is to talk to clients within the bank and show them how to use ThoughtSpot for their own analysis. And once they use ThoughtSpot, they can now use their own clients for all that. So basically show you how to use this tool to do your business. So that's essentially what I do professionally. And then personally, I also am the GOAT of NESB, basically just a Black engineering organization in the United States and internationally. And my job there is just honestly inspiring people in STEM, science, technology, engineering, mathematics, and helping them realize the opportunities, whether in academia, professional, on the. I like to do a lot of things, sometimes even to my own demerit, but there's just some things I do on a daily basis.
Okay, nice. And you also started a blog. Is it like still an active project you're working on?
Yes, I do. The blog, it's named after myself, Carerra's Chronicles. And basically, first of all, it's a work in progress. It's not the final product, at least at the time of today. But I like to think of it as a place where I can share my ideas and my thoughts about things that interest me. I came to terms recently that I'm a generalist, so I'm a man of many talents, but I don't specialize in one. And so I'm thinking that if I want to specialize, that will mean that I'll have to leave all these things which I'm inherently passionate about or interested in. So my blog is more like a place for me to share my ideas or thoughts and these interests. Maybe it's technology, maybe it's personal development, maybe it's finance, business, education, etc. And I've had it for 7 years now, but I actually started working on it like very hard, maybe 2021, 2022. Work in progress. I like the progress, how it's going, and we'll see how it goes within 5-ish years.
To the point of being a generalist, I also thought about that a lot because I spent many years trying to figure out like what is my why, or figuring out something that you can put in the center of everything and then everything else develops from it. Have you read the book Mastery by Robert Greene?
I have not, though in my generalist research, I came across that recommendation.
Okay. Basically, it's about those great masters like Leonardo da Vinci and how they came to be who they are and why we till this day know their names. And basically him as well, he was a generalist, but then again, if you work long enough in one domain, or if you can categorize it, you will eventually be like your own niche, you will create something that has not been taught yet. So you basically in the beginning, you know nothing, that you learn some certain skills and maybe you work under someone. So you get the knowledge from like a mentor. And then eventually you are at a point where you can create something new that has not yet been established. And usually you can, I don't know, maybe you're not the best chess player, but maybe, I don't know, you can go skiing and you're not the best skier, but maybe you're the best skier that can also play chess or whatever. I don't know, bad example, but you can maybe combine those two. So have you thought about something like where you want to be known for?
That is a very good question. While I think about that, let me just close your point where you mentioned about specializing in maybe 2 or 3 different fields at most. I don't know if you come across this idea by Tim Ferriss. He mentions being a specialized generalist, whereby you can take 2 extreme ends and create an interest out of that. So think of somebody who did law and also has expertise in computer science. So a lawyer who knows how to find ethics in AI or create systems that are ethical within maybe applications. Like those are 2 different niches, but highly lucrative. And like you said, 1 in a million can maybe do that. Maybe somebody like a healthcare practitioner who knows how to do business and creates a whole business out of healthcare that maybe does licensing, maybe does staffing of nurses everywhere. So 2 extremes, merge them into one and monetize that. That's a good idea by Tim Ferriss. I think maybe you can look into that. And then to answer your question, you said, what's something I would like to be known for?
Yeah.
I just like to, or I've been thinking about this recently, and if there's something I want to be remembered for, is being a leader who cared. Because in my thoughts, in my words, in my actions, wherever I do or wherever I go, whatever I do, I just like to inspire people. I was just asking people yesterday on Threads if there are any motivational speakers, because maybe I might fit into that. I know. But at the end of the day, in whatever ideas I share, in whatever insights I find, I just hope it helps at least one person. I hope that it helps them realize there's a lot more they can do with their life, with their talents. You see, it could be in, again, law, it could be in writing, it could be in tech, whatever. So long as I planted that seed for you to know that you can do it, I think that would be very memorable for me. And which is why I like to summarize as a leader who cared.
A leader who cared. For example, you probably listen to different podcasts, right? Or different people talking.
Yep.
So a lot of people that I listen to, you could also, they're podcasters, yeah, but you can also put a different category or niche to their name usually. I don't know. Iman Ghazi is the marketing guy, or let's take maybe Mike Thurston. He was a kind of a fitness guy. So yeah, now they're podcasters, but even Joe Rogan, maybe he's the comedy or I like the MMA guy. So is there something, or do you even have the desire to put a label to your name? And would that diverge like your generalist view, or can you try to encompass that? Because what I'm having trouble with in my life is figuring out like a name. And I use ChatGPT a lot since you mentioned it, to input data and let it give me back what I'm telling it, like using it like a reflection of myself to figure out what could I categorize myself as, what would be my strengths, like the concept of the book Ikigai, where you look at what are you good at, what can you provide for other people, what could you be paid for, and then what do you love, and you try to figure out something that is in the center, and then you need to also look at the external remedies. So for example, I loved skiing, so I thought about how could I get paid to ski. I just became a ski instructor. But then again, my problem was that I didn't want to be location dependent. So eventually the snow will melt and I need to move to somewhere else. I need to figure out what are the elements. Why did I even want to be a ski instructor? Skiing, obviously, but is it like the human connection? And then what is it more specifically? Is it like selling myself, selling stuff? Maybe it's teaching, passing on knowledge. Maybe it's exchanging ideas. And then take that one element and then look at my other jobs. I don't know, I was a store manager. So what did I like about that? And then from all of this, trying to figure out what could be my purpose or passion in life, right? To figure out that one thing that you can every single day wake up and you're like, oh yeah, what do? I do this because I am this. Just like an athlete, think of yourself as an athlete as soon as you start working out, because then every choice you do is easier. When you go into the supermarket and you look at food, you just read the label and you're like, would an athlete eat that? No. Okay, I'm an athlete, so I don't eat that. And it's pretty simple. So I know that was like a whole rant, but is there something, or would you even prefer that concept? Would you advocate for people to find out like that one specific thing?
That's a very good concept and good background to it. And again, this is a whole work in progress. I don't know how it's going to emanate, so we'll see. And I like to think of it in two frames, back to what I said about being a generalist, in the middle being a specialized generalist, and then being a specialist. And let's take somebody like Cristiano Ronaldo. That's the first thing that comes to mind. He's probably soccer, right?
Yeah.
One of the best ever. Think of somebody like, say, Beyonce, Taylor Swift, singing, music. You don't think of all the other aspects to them. Oh, maybe they're business people. Maybe they have brands to their name. Maybe they're speakers in their own way. You get invited we don't think of all those things, even though they might get paid for those subspecialties, but we just know Beyonce is a singer. Ronaldo is a player, athlete.
Yeah.
Now that's the first extreme. The second extreme is look at somebody like, say, Alex Hormozi.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the one thing that comes to mind when you think about him?
For me, it's marketing. Like he's a marketing genius, let's say. But also, once you look past the first 5 minutes, you're like, oh, he's probably into fitness.
There you go. Marketing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we could go on business management with acquisition.com. You could go on to say author, $100 million leads and offers. You
Yeah.
go to say podcaster, right? That's Hormozy. Let me give another example. Say Ali Abdul. What is one thing or some things that come to mind when you think of him?
To be fair, I'm not pretty sure. It's maybe not biohacking, but optimizing productivity, how to be more efficient. So like a productivity guy. Yeah.
There you go. We know him for productivity, but that's until he turned maybe 25, 26, 28, despite him being a top graduate in Cambridge University. Productivity guru, author already with Feel Good Productivity. He just published that book. Say a medical doctor, because that's what he spent 6+ years in Cambridge studying. He's also a scholar because you can tell from his videos, he's somebody who always tops his class, gets grades, etc. Entrepreneur, right? YouTuber. So you can see Abdal and Hormozy, like they just have different, of course, many examples as well. They have different faces to them, which maybe it's hard to categorize them into just one or two, right? As opposed to the Ronaldos, the Beyoncés, who you can just think of and say, okay, that's just one. This is a little an idea I got from Mark Manson, the author of Don't Give That Thing.
Yeah.
I listened to him once and he said that he doesn't want to be described into just one label. Because today he could be another, tomorrow he could be a speaker, next day he could be a YouTuber, all that. Like he said, there's somewhere in the internet, I think his interview with Lewis Holmes, correct me if I'm wrong. So he said that by freeing himself off of that label, he's able to explore the different interests that he might be having at the moment. And knowing the kind of person he is, he can maybe decide to monetize them. Maybe today I can decide to be a photographer or filmmaker, right? Let me go make some short films, etc., sell that. Today or tomorrow I decide, okay, I want to be an author. Let me start writing this book for I don't know how long and see where it goes. I want to be a speaker. Okay, let me go to this convention. Let me talk about 1, 2, 3 things from my experience. So I really like that frame of mind because you're not constrained to one thing. And there are a lot of tiny sub things that are defining you, at least professionally. And so that's where maybe you and I come in the fact that we're still trying to figure out purpose in this world, our value proposition, only to realize that a value proposition is just having good knowledge in these varieties of subjects, personal development, motivation, finance, tech, whatever, podcasts, and see, right? And so another thing which leads to from your whole ski example is I really think experience is a good teacher, if not the best teacher, right?
Yeah.
There's something I like.
Sure.
Yeah. There's something I like to tell my mentees that it's okay to be 21 years old and not know what you're going to do until 9 years old, right? It's perfectly okay. What's not okay is not trying. Because by not trying, you're ridding yourself of all the potential life experiences that you have along the way. It's something Gary Vaynerchuk emphasizes on. Just try. If you don't like this, that's okay. You have experience, move on. Try. You don't like this. Just by trying alone, you realize what you like and what you don't like. And until you get to that, what you really like, what your purpose is, then you'll have this whole bucket of experience which you'll share with those people coming after you. So say, I'll give some examples. If somebody graduates school and decides, okay, I'm going to be an investment banker. Okay. I do 3 years at this job. Okay. I don't like it. Let me go to law. Let me do law school. I do law. I do pre-law. I think that makes sense. Maybe I'll make some purpose out of it. I go to a firm, intern there for 2 years. I say, okay, I don't really like this. Investment banking, I have experience. Law, I have experience. But do I like them? Not really much. But what I like is sharing the information I've learned from the intersection of those two fields. And there are many ways to share that information. Okay, I can decide to become a university lecturer. I can decide to maybe start a YouTube channel. I can decide to maybe go and speak at conferences on the intersection between law and finance, something like that. And so the fact that I experienced all that whether you liked it or not, still people will believe you because they see Justin has relevant experience in this. It's worth listening to him and maybe any other ideas that he might have coming towards it. So I think from that front, experience is like one of the most valuable teachers. And just to summarize this point, one thing one of my mentors told me is that life is just a long state of becoming. There's no final product. There's no final Carerra. There's no final Justin. Every day, we're always evolving. We're saying, okay, did I like this? What can be done better? Okay, I've already accomplished the goals that I said will make me happy. That's Chris Williamson. But am I happy? Nope. Am I satisfied? Nope. There's something else that's out there. Okay, go do it. And so just by thinking from that frame, you don't become, you're just becoming. And it always until, say, towards the penultimate of your life, thinking, wow, maybe I have all these experiences. I have all these things I'm able to share with people. I'm not just one thing. I am many things in one. And there's no limit. There's no end limit to how many things you can fit into you, which is why I like what she said. You don't become, you're just always becoming. And with that whole frame, it's very hard to even, at least for myself, put one thing to my name, which is why I started my blog, just to share all these kinds of ideas.
Okay, interesting. But like even with the blog, you could argue that the blog is like Carerra, the blogger, but then you can use the blog to explore every idea that you have. But I've also seen like your general theme on social media is like writing. So you could put writing as the skill or like blogging, whatever, and then use that to explore your ideas. Because I thought about, for me, I switched a lot of different hobbies and stuff throughout my life. So later in life, I started to categorize what I did. But before I thought I started tennis and I stopped it. So it's something that I started and stopped. And then I did like the drums. I did like the bass guitar and different just hobbies, whatever I had. And I never saw like, how could I earn money? Because we live in a society where you need to actually earn money. Usually people pay you to solve problems. So either problems that they cannot solve themselves or don't want to solve themselves. You get paid to the proportion of complexity to the problem that you solve. So if your goal is, I want to freely express myself and I want to, even if your only goal is to figure out who you are, and to live authentically, you need to have the resources to even try out different stuff. So maybe you like playing guitar, but you could never afford a guitar. So how would you know? So especially in Germany, people have that mindset. In Germany, it's like brutal that money is like a sin. I don't know why, but a lot of people don't like the idea of it. So it's like a virtue in Germany to say that I'm not interested in money at all. And if you tell people I want to have money, then they're like, you can have money if you want to, but I'm not as materialistic as you are. And then I start talking to them about, I like skiing. Skiing is materialistic. I love it. Oh yeah, and money doesn't make you happy, right? Yeah, but I'm pretty happy standing on skis. I actually really enjoy it, but it costs money to get me there. And I don't know if I want to have good health insurance, whatever, it costs money. So maybe I'm happy if my child is healthy, and it's probably more healthy if I can buy the best food, take it to the best schools, best education, maybe my dream is to go to Tokyo one time and just visit the country and experience the different culture. Yeah, but it costs money. So how about, because in my head, to earn a lot of money, usually most people that earn a lot of money are on average kind of specialized or pretty good at one thing. And if you want to be good at one thing, the concept of the 10,000 hour rule to be an expert in something, or maybe the book mastery, but like a lot of different self-help books talk about that concept. So in order to be good at something, you need to do it a lot of times. And for the example that you said, the musicians, it's obvious. It's like you can just put the label music. And then you think about, what is music? I need to consume more and I need to produce more in order to become music, basically, because people start to become what they consume and what they produce. So the question is, if you assume that you want to have a lot of money and also be good at one thing, or also be good, how do you manage to always hop from one job to another and never figure out where you are good at? And then in retrospect, you meet someone else who just started one thing, maybe even a YouTube channel when he was 16. And now 10 years later, he's 26. So as old as I am, but he's living the life, right? He's living the dream. He's location independent, maybe he gets to through YouTube pursue what he's actually passionate about, and he earns a lot of money because he has done something for 10 years. So he gets the best of both worlds. He gets to be really good at something, which I think is pretty fulfilling, and be one of the best at something because he spent a lot of time. But in order for him to be able to do that, he needs to categorize himself, or even maybe, I don't know who said that, maybe Lincoln, one of those dudes. He said, if I had 6 hours to cut down a tree, I would sharpen my blade for 4 hours and then cut it down for 2.
Something like that.
Something like that.
But hours I spent 6 sharpening the blade.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, the idea is, when do you take time to step back and actually spend time analyzing yourself? And then when do you spend time at doing? Because some people go farther in life by just doing, because someone like me just overthinks everything and then they don't start at all. But then again, I've noticed a pattern of trying new things because I'm excited about new things, but then I never stick to something because I'm always excited about the new possibilities. So I'm trying through this podcast, for example, to figure out a way where I can just say, okay, I am a podcaster. This is one thing that I can start now. And even if I'm 99 years old, I can still do it. And I can simultaneously pursue my passion of talking to people, exploring ideas, and understanding reality more. But then again, I could categorize it as podcaster, because if I just, I'm interested in skiing and now in diving, and okay, there's sports, but now I started coding, for example. I started HTML and CSS, web design, and I did a lot of different things that I started, and I thought, this is it. This is my passion. Now, at the moment, I'm a personal trainer. And then I thought, this is my passion. And it just constantly changes.
I really like that whole background. Give some good thought, and also just something to just take my notes there. Let me see. What do I start with? First of all, let me start with a disclaimer. Maybe to anybody who might be watching this 10, 15, 20 years from now, is I'm not an expert at that. Everything is just me learning along the way. But I like this concept. Just to start with, I like this concept of the Renaissance man. It's something that's very popular at these days in the digital economy. And maybe if you follow Dan Coe, he has ideas on this. Having a multiple set of skills which encompass you as a person, and decide maybe you want to monetize them or service them whenever. So I like to think of it as a more professional way to being a generalist. Generalist is, say, something like surface level, but Renaissance man is somebody who's maybe taking those surface level things and actually wanted to create change in them. I think there are 3 ways to this. There's a generalist, somebody who knows a lot of things. Then there's a Renaissance man, somebody who knows a lot of things and adds input to them. And then there's a polymath, somebody who knows a lot of things, adds a lot of things to that, and makes it revolutionary, such that they don't just say, they also do, and in many cases change the field. Take somebody like, Elon Musk, because there's clearly no better example today. This person is revolutionizing space travel as we know it. He's revolutionizing energy as we know it. He's revolutionizing potentially AI as we know it, right? This guy, he's spreading himself not entirely thin, but across different spectrums, and creating the change that's needed to be catapult this world into the next. But you have now back to the generalist, aka myself, who knows these ideas overhead and maybe does one, two, three things, but enacting on them, like executing them might be something different because of different circumstances, and which is maybe bringing to this podcast, like, what exactly am I doing within this that's fulfilling my passion, my purpose, right? So I just thought I like the idea of the Renaissance man, whereby you're in the middle between a generalist and a polymath, and now creating your own path in between. So like you said, be a personal trainer, coding HTML, all that, deciding if you can make an impact in that and seeing how far that impact can go, or even this podcast, how far it can go. I think that would pay dividends in the long term. I like the question you asked on how do you know that whatever it is you're doing right now is maybe something you're passionate about, something fulfilling for you. And I'm a huge advocate of self-reflection, like reflecting on everything that you do, every inch of life that you go through. And at least personally for me, is I'm always in constant reflection of my past, my present, and potentially my future. And so I'm thinking, what I did in high school 7 years ago, is that paying off? What I did in college during that activity, is it paying off as well? Did I learn something from it, or did I just do it for the sake of doing it? The only conflict to that is you don't know how long you should wait to assess yourself. I'll give an example. Say you like art, like you want to draw, make pictures, all that stuff. And so you say, this is my year 2024, I'm going to be a very good artist. The problem is 2024 has 12 months, as all the years do, right? Determining how long in between you should take to reflect whether art is a thing now, that's what I think is a problem. Should you take 1 month, every 30th of every month, to analyze, do I like to draw? Should you take every 2 months, every 6 months? Do I really like drawing? Should you ask a question? Should I ask my question every day? 1, 2, 3, 30, 1, 2, 3, 30. Do I really like to draw? Which is why people, I've realized, give up when they don't see the results in 30 days. Yet the result you're looking for is something that could take at least 3 years.
Yes.
And so attached to that, I think we're living in a society of instant gratification, whereby you want to do 6 push-ups and get 6 abs or a 6-pack instantly, right? It doesn't work that way. So one thing I would imagine, and this is even me advising myself, is if I want to do something that I think I'm passionate about, because thinking you're passionate about something and actually being passionate, those are two different things, right? There's action and there's not. So if I want to do something I think I'm passionate about, I have to visualize the end product of it. Let's say I want to be a fitness coach. Okay. How would Carerra as a fitness coach look like in 10 years? I have to give myself that visible timeline. Would I be somebody jacked up like Hormozy, big, acquisition.com head? Would I be owning several thousand gyms across North America? Would I be, say, writing books about fitness? Like, how would that end vision look like for me? Okay, I have the vision in place. Now let me put in the daily frameworks for me to get there. Okay, learn about fitness. Be fit myself, because I can't be 320 pounds and still want to be, I have to be that leading example of myself. So be fit. Maybe look at what experts are saying about the fitness industry, maybe adding my own thoughts, checking my diet, all that stuff. I don't know how long, let's say after 30 days, I reflect and think, do I really like this? Do I like this whole process of trying to be a fitness trainer, or do I just like the idea of being a fitness trainer? And that's where people get conflicted. You say that you like something or you like the idea of it. And more often than not, liking the idea of it is not a guarantee that you really even like that idea. Is it the guarantee of you liking that thing itself? And so anyway, I believe taking time off to reflect on a different cadence to see if this is really working for you, if you're being fulfilled, if you're liking it, if the dopamine receptors in your brain are going on autopilot, right? Because I was just talking about this in the morning, that you could be a software engineer, you could be making $250,000 a year, right? You can be making all of them, all the money in the world is yours, right? But what gets you excited every day is just you going to the fishing pond with your family and trying to get 1, 2, 3 fish, right? Something that gets excited might not have any monetary incentive attached to it. And that's something I think people make these days. So anyway, taking time off to reflect, thinking whether or not it's worth it, how long you should take to decide if it's good. That's something even I'm still figuring out. I think that might answer your question. I just have a few more thoughts.
Sure.
I like how you mentioned that being a specialist or those people who are known for just one thing, they're paid a lot. And that's true because that's where you get SMEs, subject matter experts. You'd rather have Ronaldo take the scoring penalty over me, even though I'm maybe scoring like tens of thousands penalties, but that's not the only thing I'm doing. For specialists, they're so good at something. It could be high stakes, it could be low stakes, but if you want a guarantee result, don't give it to a journalist. Don't give it to me. Give it to somebody who's done that thing 10,000 times or 10,000 hours. That way you have less room to fail as opposed to giving somebody who knows a lot of things, but you're giving them that one job that might have high stakes. And the thing I like about specialists is, first of all, the passion that they put into the thing. Say, there's this whole concept of 10,000 hours and all that. But I think we overlooked that what they're doing is their sixth sense. Like you do something for a prolonged period of time until you get it to even say 4,000 hours and it becomes autopilot. It becomes your sixth sense. So let's take a podcaster, for example. Wake up, eat, podcast, sleep, repeat, right? You just know I don't have to set things up. I don't have to force myself. I just do it because, and I think that's a mental framework, right? At the beginning, let's even take me Duolingo, right? At the beginning, you have to force yourself to do it, right? Until your brain just naturally adapts to doing it such that you don't even think about it. Subconsciously, you're already doing it, right? Which is why I think the hardest thing is really just starting out, right? The first step is always going to be the hardest. But once you get to step 100, it just becomes naturally ingrained in you, right? You just think, okay, I don't have to go to the gym. I just go to the gym, right? I don't have to try to draw every day. I just draw. I don't have to speak. I just speak. Public speaking, right? So that's all in consistency. That's all in the tiny habits, which now look at the specialists. Those habits keep compounding until I would even get somebody like Messi. Messi would play soccer just in his sleep. That's how good specialists are. And that's how much I admire them. And because of that, it makes sense to pay them 5 more times than a journalist would when you think about it. So there's that different skill gap to that. And just to summarize it is, you mentioned about how people try to find their interests and also maybe hop jobs, hop careers, hop hobbies, all that stuff. And then you have this YouTuber who started at age 16 and YouTubed all the way until 26 to massive success. One of my mentors taught me this concept of long money and short money. So by short money is you're looking for the short things in the short term, which again, not to say it's a bad thing, just trying to stack tiny, tiny experiences that catapult you to maybe where you want to go, right? But the long money is, say, you have a concrete final dream, a concrete final vision of who you want to be by this timeline. And everything you're doing goes all to that, right? He gave me a very good example. Let's take corporate. Some financial advice, which people say, if you want to increase your salary, which may or may not be true, always hop jobs. Like, okay, get from 50K, go to a different job, get 70K, go to a different job, get 100K, all that stuff, right? That's short money, right? Short time frame, short attention, right? With the long money, somebody is going to do like the short money, but inside the same place for a long period of time. you stay at one place, but climb the ladder, right? Short money is like this. Dun, dun. Long money is like this. Dun, dun, dun. It's long enough. Boom.
Yeah.
And so I think scientifically, not scientific, from a corporate standpoint, this might be true because most CEOs I've seen start that way. They build themselves in a good place, in a good firm, long enough to say, I'll spend 15 years here. I'll spend 20 years here. Okay. I know if I leave and go here, one, this is going to be my potential outside the screen. And two, I'd be a very good candidate for, say, being the CEO, long money.
Yeah.
I thought that was a fascinating concept. And if you ask me personally what I'm doing, I think I'm doing long money with Carerra's Chronicles, but short money with everything else, just to summarize. So I thought all that between passion and money and finances, that's just an interesting frame I like to think about it sometimes.
So what would you say to someone who has not figured out anything that they could call their passion? Because I've met, like when I was a ski instructor, I met one guy and he was way younger than me, maybe 16 years old at the time. And he started an Instagram channel and he did an apprenticeship as like how do you call those people? Clockmakers. He repairs clocks and whatever. And he was obsessed with watches. So clocks at the wall, at your wall or on your wrist. And I was just fascinated that some people could just grow up. I think he told me that his grandpa once gave him a watch. And since that point on, he was obsessed with them. And everything he does and thinks about is, oh, I just want to do that. So obviously you could build your Instagram channel. He doesn't want to be an influencer, but it's like parts, he uses that framework or those tools to maybe, I don't know, be known more or whatever. But then he just got one thing delivered to him. Or I think Einstein, he got a compass once. Someone gifted him a compass. And so from that point onward, he was fascinated by physics and like energy fields that you cannot see, but different devices can detect. So if you grow up and you've been playing the piano forever, whatever, then you maybe have something where you could call that like the long game, something that maybe eventually you can earn money with that, or at least you have a passion, something that you can see that you're constantly improving. And in every other aspect of your life, maybe you're jumping from one thing to another and you cannot quite figure out what am I doing and why am I jumping so much. But like for me, I had so many different things that at one point I just sat there and I was pretty envious of people that had figured out one thing that they really absolutely enjoyed and loved. And every time when I started something, I had that initial motivation, that initial dopamine boost. And I started something. And obviously I knew that the end result would maybe take a little bit more time than I thought, maybe 3 years, maybe 5 years till I eventually did something with it that I would be like proud of. But then how do you know if after the initial boost, after the initial motivation, the dip that comes afterwards, like in the beginning, you have that you're pretty optimistic, but you don't know anything at all, right? Yeah. And then you're like informed pessimism eventually, right? And then you're like, oh shit, I have so much more to learn. And then, so how do you know if it's just the dip that you need to power through, or if the thing is not even meant for you? Because I train so many people in the gym and I can tell, because it's now January, right? The people have all those different aspirations for the year. So my gym is crowded, but you can tell some people will eventually just go out. And I think 80% of the new members we get, they just pay and they never come again. But I try to get them addicted to the gym, because in the beginning, you're forcing your body to do something that feels painful. And in the beginning, your motivation is so high that you're like excited that you're going to become a new person and be someone else and whatnot, get a 6-pack for summer. But then you realize, oh, I've been to the gym for 2 or 3 weeks and I don't see any difference. Yeah, obviously. but it hurts and I'm tired and I need to go 3 or 4 times a week. It's so exhausting. And you need to push through that dip till eventually at one point your body will hate you for not going. I feel depression. I really feel depressed when I don't go for a couple of days. So I've used the addiction in a positive way that even after this podcast, I'm going to go to the gym because I just sleep better. I feel better. So it's not even for the aesthetics anymore. At this point, it's just to feel good. And the aesthetics is like the nice benefit. So I think that if you just go for the aesthetics, if you just go because you want to have a six pack, you can use that motivation in the beginning to go, but what keeps you there needs to be something deeper than that. Or you need to embrace the suck, right? You need to start loving the pain of it all. But so I understand that concept and I'm trying to transfer this to other parts. So the podcast, for example, it's pretty exhausting, but it's good exhausting. I feel so good at the end of the day if I have edited for 6 hours. Like my brain's hurting, right? I haven't touched water in 4 hours. I forgot everything, but I feel good. It's like going to the gym. It's like exhausting yourself on purpose. But if you have never tried that many things, how could you even understand if this is just the process or if you should even continue? Because maybe this is telling you that this is not the right thing for you. Because a couple of things that I tried, like coding, for example, I like the idea of coding. I like the end result because coding is cool. A couple of years ago, it was just some geek stuff, right? But now it's, oh yeah, you're the buffed coder guy, right? You're like Elon Musk, you're the superstar guy. So coding is fun, coding is cool, and I like the external stuff. So what I liked about coding was that I could create with my ideas something that you could actually then see and use, and it's something that could stay forever. And then I could work from my computer. I imagined all my setup. I working home office or doing my own things, my own projects and working from everywhere. But then there was a small inconvenience that I actually did not like staring at a screen for 10 hours and typing in stuff. So that was the main problem. And then I tried to force myself to the process by all weird kind of stuff. Like I even drank caffeine only when I worked to get addicted to it and then only give myself the reward once I'm coding. Because my body will associate the feeling of, oh, I want my coffee. Yeah, but you need to sit on your computer and code and then you're going to get your coffee. Okay, so I sat there but it eventually, maybe if I would have done it for more than half a year, something would have clicked. But I, for myself, decided to stop it. And now doing the podcasting thing, even if it's 90% just editing and redistribution, I feel so much better than the coding aspect. I don't know what it was, but then again, I'm thinking about maybe there's something even better than that, right? But how would I know? And at some point, I just need to stick to something for long enough, for a year or two, or podcasting probably for 5 years to even get the high rewards, but because it's exponential growth usually. So how would I even figure out if something is meant for me or if it's just the dip, the informed pessimism that you have at the moment?
I really like the question. I really like the background. First of all, one piece of advice I always like to tell people in a similar slump, and I'm not an exception to that, is really just trying things, just putting yourself out there and seeing what things you like, what things you don't like, because you don't know until you don't try. Say somebody comes to me, or I go to somebody, they say, don't be a coder. Don't go into investment banking. Why? It's a bad job. I don't like it. First of all, miss the part. They say, I don't like it. That's their tastes of the whole field. And so what ends up happening is you pursue all other things which may or may not add up to your repertoire until you finally land onto investment banking 16 years later on to realize, I love this, right? But what made me not like it is Somebody told me not to do it from their own experience. See? So I think I live by a philosophy whereby it's great to hear people. It's great to know their perspectives because most than not mean generally well. But you only learn from doing the thing. You only learn from past experience. Think about it this way. It's say somebody tells you to do this. That's wisdom. That's information, right? Then you do it. Now you have firsthand insight. So that, at least in my opinion, is more valuable than just the insight that one person might have. Of course, within reason, right? Because experience advice is contextual. Say, I like this example. One of my mentors told me, don't go to grad school, don't go to do your master's degree because most likely you just be doing it for a pay bump and you'll get this pay bump and realize you might have to go for another degree or get these credentials. So whatever. I thought, yeah, that makes sense. So again, everything's within reason, but still trying things for yourself and obviously analyze. Okay. So trying things like don't stop exploring curiosity because, I'm religious. God gave you something that you have, whatever. Sorry. He gave you something, passion and the reason for being on this earth, right? You might realize it at 20, good for you. You might realize it at 45, good for you, right? Point is just don't stop trying because if you don't try, then what is it adding up to? Nothing, right? If you try, like I said, at least you'll have the experience of the things you like and don't like, and that can give insights on that. That's a long way for me to answer somebody's question on, okay, what's advice I'm looking for? And then I believe in the click. Like you'll just be doing something and then something click. I like this. Okay, I've been in tech. I've been in nonprofits. I've been in social welfare. Okay. And then something clicks. I actually like helping people. I like social welfare. Okay. Let me go help out, volunteer at this organization. And anybody who needs advice, insights on my past experience, because I might be dealing with kids who want to go and do things I have done. Right? And just that click alone, realizing that, yes, this is it. I know that's a thing. I know that's something. It happens. When that happens, again, that depends on how fast you try all these things along the way. And which is why I'm not really a fan of reluctancy, because you're reluctant to do something that at the worst case will not kill you, right? You're reluctant to do something that has no downside. And it's when you realize that you're hesitating for 3 years only to realize that I could have started this 3 years ago and maybe made something out of it. So fear is just this huge blocker that we have. And people think, what are they going to think of me when I do this and all that? Turns out not many people really think about you. They were never even thinking about you in the first place. So just go do it. Just try things. Be willing to look foolish within the first X years until you realize this is the thing. This clicks. That's the moment your foolishness will end. And then for the rest of your life, you're legendary. In that click, in that passion that you finally found, trying things, waiting for the click. And then all that you mentioned, and look at it from a habit perspective, from, what I've learned from psychologists, from podcasts, all that. And the people that we admire today, the idols, they are a representation of their own habits. Take, say, somebody like Joe Rogan, right? He's been podcasting for who knows how long. He knows, okay, this is how I'd like to be as a podcaster in 10 years. Let's see what I can do now to get there. I know it's going to be tough. I know I'll get paid for it, in his own words, that is. I know there's a lot of things to it, but like you mentioned, I just love doing it. So I'll have to set in place the habits for me as Joe Rogan to like doing podcasts, getting a team to assemble the content, to get guests, people who can entertain my ideas and maybe have a good intellectual debate. Take somebody who wants to be a model, a fitness model in 10 years, right? You need to have a vision. You need to say, okay, this is how my 10 years look like. Right? I want to be somebody slim. I want to be, say, 175 pounds. I want to be muscular, lean. I have this picture. Okay. what am I doing right now every day to get me there? Let me start with going to the gym and doing bare minimum, say 10 pull-ups, 20 bench presses, right? All that. It's hard to go to the gym now, but if you build that habit and say, I go to the gym, I don't have to go to the gym, I go to, it's just naturally, it's my sixth sense. Like at some point, it just ingrains back to your subconscious. And something I learned is your subconscious is actually where your habits are stored. It takes, I think, 7 days to build a habit. It takes 30 days for that habit to be your character. And I think it takes 90 days for that character to be ingrained in you personally. And that changes from I have to go to the gym to I go to the gym. I have to draw. I draw. I have to play soccer. I play soccer. And you say it naturally because it becomes no more an obligation. Like you don't have to be obligated to it. You just do it. I have to read. Nope. I read. I like to write. I have to write. I write. That's a huge perspective thing. And it reminds me of something. I think this author of Atomic Habits, remember his name?
James Clear.
James Clear. This is quote that goes, you don't rise to the level of your systems, sorry, of your goals. You fall to the levels of your systems. And yeah, those systems, I see them as habits. You have this humongous goal, and the systems are just the everyday things that you do to get there, right? And so how I interpret it is may or may not hit the goal. But if anything, if you keep following the systems that lead to this goal, chances are the goal will even explode, right? So you're aiming for this, but the systems will take you here, right? So systems versus goals, habits versus the final thing. I think that's a very good picture, which at least has helped me. And then I think the last thing I'll mention here is all these passions, all this interest that you have, how to know which is worth pursuing, because you mentioned you're climbing, you have the dopamine boost, yay, and then the dip, informed pessimism. So this is how I formulated. If I have the click that says, yes, status, become a, for example, motivational speaker. Okay. How would me as a motivational speaker look like in 10 years from now? Okay. Being paid to gigs, speaking at conferences, doing YouTube. That's a final picture. Okay. What can I do in between now and then to practice, improve my communication, do podcasts, do personal public speaking, etc. Tiny habits, or aka the systems. Okay. 3, who is somebody that is doing what I like to do or what I want to do? And which is where I think the internet is highly underrated because it's a democracy of education. YouTube, Google search, Jim Rohn, oh, he liked to do that. Jordan Peterson, oh, he's somebody articulating that. Oh, say some Oprah Winfrey, oh, she has these thoughts. Okay. So just the ideas of these people are framing my 10-year vision, right? And I have the systems. Now that's informed, either informed or uninformed optimism. I think it's uninformed. That's all coming up, right? The dip, which people don't take into account for. Okay. I know that to get there, I will receive backlash. I know to get there, I will receive opposition. I know to get there, I will receive, I hate to say it, but again, it's just how the world is, right? I'm pricing all the worst case scenarios that get me there, right? I know that at some point people are going to have to judge me about my English, about my accent. And am I ready to price that in? I know that at some point people are going to stalk my past. Okay, Google search. Okay, who's Carerra and the status? Let's see. Okay. Yes, I don't like this person. Let's go change this image on Instagram. Something like pricing those worst case scenarios in the midst of you trying to articulate that vision. Now that's from uninformed optimism down to the uninformed pessimism. Now this is the dip you're talking about. And I want to guess that you got this concept also from Homozy, because I got it from there.
Yeah.
The dip is where people give up.
Yes. Yeah.
Literally, that's part of the process, but people give up there at the dip. They're going to be like, post a video, post this Instagram picture. You have 100 likes, but just that one comment will take you away. That one makes
Yeah.
right. You have very wonderful content. You have all these insights that you know are passionate about, all that. 1,000 likes, 2,000, just 3 comments under the video. You suck. This doesn't make sense. You're ugly. Just those 3 are part of the dip, which people look at and just give up, right? So if you're thinking long term, you have to also hypothesize a worst case scenario, the dip. What are some downsides to this, and can I handle them? And more often than not, if not most, is going through that dip, going through those catastrophes I think are catastrophes, are sometimes going to be your greatest success stories to go over there, right? I'll give an example. Joe Rogan's mic on his very first podcast was not even working.
I didn't know that.
It did not. He had mic issues, tech issues, all that. His very first podcast, look at him today. Tens, not 20s of millions of subscribers, right? I think, or was it Samsung? I could be wrong. I think Samsung started as food chain company, maybe. Not Samsung, something big. And they realized that, okay, we don't really service this. Maybe we like electronics. Let's try to pivot and see, oh, wow, now we're a leading brand 20 or so years. Again, don't take me for that. I like this example. Do you use Slack?
Slack.
Right.
Oh, I tried it, but I don't use it at the moment. No.
What if I told you that Slack was actually supposed to be a video game chatting platform?
Crazy.
Think about it. So you have something like Twitch, and then you're chatting on Slack. That was what Slack was supposed to do until you realize, no, this is not working. Let's just close it. Let's just sell it. Or just change the use for it. Okay, I like the file upload features. I like how we can create a meeting inside of it. I like how you can share files. Actually, this can be a good tool for work, right? It can help in project and program management, right? And everybody can collaborate on tasks. Let's see how it goes. Boom. The part of Salesforce today. Like millions of people use that for collaboration. Maybe upwards of 10 million people, just because the dip propelled them to their greatest success today. And so now to summarize all that up, try things. Don't hesitate. Like just try what you think you like. You'll know what you don't like and what you don't like. You'll know what you don't like and what you like. You'll get the click. You'll have the experience to share with people, right? And the click is you looking at yourself 10 years from now, from that click, dozens of clicks later. Where's the best case? The informed optimism, uninformed optimism, that uninformed pessimism. Okay, how do I handle that? How do I get more optimistic? And keep the systems on, keep the habits on. You're not always going to be motivated, but you're always going to rely on discipline. You won't be motivated every day to go to the gym. You won't be motivated every day to write them blog posts. But you need to be disciplined because that's a system. You fall to the level of your systems and let time do a thing.
Awesome. So what I got out of this is if you know your why, then you will figure out your how. If your why is high enough, right, then you can think about the roadblocks and everything will happen, but eventually it will be worth it, right? You wanted to add something?
And that's a Jim Rohn quote. Exactly as I said it. If you figure out your why, your how becomes easy.
So what would you say that your why is? If I would ask you, imagine you could do something every day for the next 5 or 10 years and you would actually succeed. You would actually get your end result guaranteed. What would it be?
I just like to inspire people. and help them realize they can succeed in what they choose to do. And from that inspiring, it's from what I think, what I say, what I do in tech, in finance, personal development, writing, seeing where I can go with that, and hopefully help somebody along the way. One word, inspiration.
What about one of your mentors said that you should not go to college, right? Not get your master's?
He convinced me at the current circumstances not to get a master's degree just because I could imagine like it didn't quite pay off for him as he expected it to be. And so he was trying to shield me from that. So that would have been a worst case scenario if it came down to that for me to, okay, get a master's degree, because essentially it was either get a job or a degree. And I'm trying to get a job. Things are not working out. So I'm thinking, okay, is a master's worth it? I would have gotten a master's if I didn't get a job, but the job came first. Master's is for another day. And that's where the mentor came in.
Okay. Would you personally, what is your stance on a lot of online people like even Gary Vee or Alex Hormozy talking about you don't need to go to college, just do your thing?
I really like that question. I've been thinking about it myself. I don't have the final answer, but I see it from the other side of things. And it's not even been recent. It's at least 10 years now, once we realize the power of the internet. And I say this with a full-fledged mathematics degree.
Yeah.
I'm just putting that disclaimer out there. Essentially, college is not one all be all, right? It's a good place to get good, valuable experience, talk to professors, resources, fellow classmates who become your lifelong friends. I know people get married just because they met in college, but in terms of the system itself, it could really use some tweaks. It could use some refurbishment, because what I understand, at least with the Western side of things, is that it's more theoretical. It's more written in book, but less put into practice. So one of my other mentors, he framed it very well, which I thought hits home. We're in the 21st century with a 19th century education. And when I look at it, when I dig deeper, that education of the 19th century is more conceptual. It's more of how you can retain that information all throughout the 20th century. And he also gave some good facts about this. So towards the 20th century, say the last 50 or so years, I think like 30% of United States citizens had a college degree. And so having that college degree made you more valuable into the economy, right? Fast forward to today, 50 years later, it's now 70% approximately of citizens with a college degree. And so the essence of the degree has changed from being qualified to just having a degree for the sake of having a degree. Yeah. One thing I've learned is, especially with recent times, your degree isn't necessarily your career. And I say this because back to the whole purpose thing, I don't like the fear. I don't like the pressure that's put on 15, 16-year-old kids. They're told you must figure out the next 50 years of your life in college, right? That's too much pressure, right? You can't talk about mental health, about suicide without considering that kind of pressure. So I've seen people who do different majors. Someone does engineering, someone does psychology, someone does philosophy, somebody does chemistry, because they think that's what they're going to do. They might like it, they might not like it. If you like it, honestly, that's very good. I'm very happy for you. If you don't like it, all of a sudden you have this pressure on, oh my gosh, now what's my degree gonna amount to? What are the jobs in my degree? Like, I really like what my grandma said back when I was in Kenya. I actually wanted to study philosophy just because I liked thinking and exploring topics, until she told me, Tatis, go get a real job and do a real degree. Yeah. And so when I think about it, it leads me to another point. I'm still thinking about this concept that if you have to go to school, major in something that's going to make you money and minor in something that you love. So something that's going to make you money, say electrical engineering. Okay. Something that you love, music. Better yet, maybe finding some micro components or circuits inside a piano, which can make the best piano in the metaverse. For example, say major in some business and leadership. This is a major minor in leadership. Okay. Become a senior manager at a company, become this, so on and so forth, Fortune 500, whatever. That's something I'm thinking about. But now back to the main point is this pressure that we're told we have to figure things out, and college is necessary for that. It's not really adding up because you're not even guaranteed a job outside college. At least with the United States, with the economy that is in right now for new grads, it's more like who knows who instead of who knows what, right? What you know versus who you know. Yes, you know a lot, but you need somebody else to validate that what you know to get a job. So what you know versus who you know. And then you even get to that job and realize it's your dream job. You studied 4, 5, 6 years for it, but it's not your passion. You don't like it. You're just here for the money to pay bills. That's where now the whole system, I feel, is just getting messed up. Now let's go contrary. You mentioned Homozy, V, etc., millions of people. And when you think about it, you really learn a lot from the people who've actually done the job and are very willing to share it. Which is why I think YouTube as an educational resource is highly underrated, because you can learn a lot from YouTube, from somebody for 6 months, as opposed to school for 4 years and go in debt for and barely apply it in practice, right? YouTube, internet, personal academies, of course, again, within reason. There's just a lot of valuable information over there that you realize you don't necessarily need a formal education for. It's not to say you don't go to college, because there's still benefits of college, especially the people you meet, the experiences you get and all that. But the system itself, that's where it needs tweaking. And so I feel like the internet is changing that system of how we acquire education, and not just education for education's sake, practical education. How I want to be a coder. Okay. I can decide to major in computer science or just go follow Tech Lead on YouTube. Just search the internet. Okay. Coding in JavaScript, coding in HTML, etc. Then with their schools, do a whole assessment, get certification for that. Say how to be a professional dancer. Okay, I can decide if I want to go to school for 4 years and maybe master in fine arts just to know how to dance. Or I can just check YouTube, Chris Brown, how he dances, that maybe check some online, or maybe even some place down the street that offers dancing lessons. So all that is to say, I love saying this, the internet is a democracy of education, and whoever has access to it can access whatever education they could have gotten from school in much less of the time, and in many cases, a fraction for the cost. Not to say that college is a bad thing. College, you may or may not get your passion from there, but it's not the final thing. And there are good things you can get from college. Absolutely, take them. If you have the capacity to do so, well and good. But just know that it's part of the process of getting there. It's not the final thing. That's my whole thoughts on the whole system in college so far.
Awesome. Yeah, in Germany, it's pretty heavily geared towards going into higher education. It's still a major status symbol. Like the whole idea of not going, I got all my ideas basically from listening to American podcasts. All my mindset is American books. So I don't know which kind of person I would have been if I didn't listen to all those people that you mentioned. This is the first time in my life that I've spoken to someone that actually knows all those names. So you mentioned so many different names and I'm like, okay, check. And I'm like, holy shit, I know everyone, you know? So in Germany, I always ask, oh, do you know this book? And no one knows anything at all about any of those concepts. So you're basically talking to someone that is not on the same wavelength as you. So we are talking about concepts that we have read about, and I need to even explain the concept to someone. So it's hard for them to even grasp. And even though they are on the internet and they see that all those people that earn a lot of money on the internet, they don't understand that the internet is basically just a huge marketplace to connect everyone with everyone else. So when I say that I want to do something, let's say I want to practice playing the guitar, and I'm using my camera to record myself and upload it, in their minds, it's, oh, you want to be a millionaire influencer. No, maybe I just want to meet 1,000 people that actually truly appreciate my music, and I can make a living off of it. I can earn the same money, the same crappy 2,000 or 3,000 euros that I earn here every day doing my desk job that I don't like, for playing the guitar every single day. I'm not trying to be the next whoever, but for them, trying to upload something on the internet, or the internet is just, they listen to a lot of people, but they don't understand that they could be those people. I don't know what it is, but for them, it's just every time when I was a ski instructor, or even now when I work as a personal trainer, they sometimes come to you and they ask you, what do you do in real life? And you're like, this is real life. But because the idea is, so you're studying, right? Because everyone studies, and then everyone just, in Germany especially, you have different types of like high school. You have high school and different, for us, it's like basically 3 different things. There's a lower tier, which is called Hauptschule. You stop when you're, 14 years old, maybe. And then mostly those people, maybe they do an apprenticeship, let's say a lower tier apprenticeship, or they don't do anything at all. And they just work at a gas station, whatever. Mostly those people are the people that repair our streets, or are the like basic executive like things that you do where someone else tells you what to do, and they just build stuff. Then there's a next tier that's called Realschule, which is mostly you stop when you're like 16, 17 years old, and you do different parts of apprenticeships, right? So maybe you're an office clerk. Maybe, I don't know, maybe like usually you go to what you would consider trade school in the US.
I was going to mention that.
Yeah. So it's basically when you go out in the middle, you're 16, 17 years old, you go into trade school, and it usually takes 3 years, and you get paid a little bit of money, like 700, 800, 900 euros per month. And then you work for them, and it's part-time school and part-time working. And you learn mostly a trade, like plumbing, whatever, basic stuff. And then if you go to the next higher, your gymnasium, and you finish mostly when you're like 18 or 19 years old, and then you don't have anything, and you wouldn't probably do an apprenticeship. So you would probably go to college, and then you would invest 3 years for a bachelor's degree and 2 more years for a master's degree. So this is the German system. And then basically, wherever you finished at the beginning, if you didn't like school when you were 14 years old because you couldn't concentrate, because everything that you thought about was coding or playing video games or playing soccer or making music, whatever, then you finished when you were 14, and that is your destination. You are going to be one of those gas station workers for the rest of your life. That's it, finished. You usually don't come up to the other places. It's sorting people into hierarchies. And then if you finished something in college, it's not even that, it doesn't really matter what you did, just that you did something. Yeah. And I wanted to go into business psychology, but my dad told me that, you should pick a real job. Because the same principle, he said, psychology, why don't you just talk to people? You don't need a degree for that. So I get the concept that if you want to go into STEM fields, or maybe something like being a lawyer or doctor, you need to study. But then I adapted the American way of thinking that, let's say I want to hire someone to edit my podcast videos. I don't care if you went to college. All I want to see is that you actually did it. So if you practiced it for 3 years, which would be insanely like, it would be a lot. You could just practice it for 3 months. Show me that you can edit a video, that you're going to do it as I like, and offer your service to a reasonable price, and I will pay you to do it, right? Or even if I want to program maybe an app for my personal training, So I want to have an app where people can put in their data and communicate with me, whatever. I don't care if you went to college. I just want to see that you have already programmed an app and you posted it on, I don't know, iCloud, on what's it? Apple, whatever, the Apple Store, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. So, but a lot of Germans are stuck in that way that if you don't have that, especially the older people. So I started to go into marketing because I have spent so much time analyzing books and doing marketing on my own on various different projects. But then they're like, yeah, but we're going to pay you as an assistant first because you don't have the experience. How do I not have the experience? We have a senior marketer here and she's 40 years old and she does different things. But I'm going to, after only 1 month working there, I'm going to be faster on the computer. I know this. I know that with all my skills, with ChatGPT, with every program that I know, that I'm going to be faster and more efficient. But I didn't have the same college degree in marketing. So it's interesting. Yeah.
Can I add to that real quick?
Yeah, sure.
First of all, I was just doing some research right now, and I think the freelance market is highly underrated. Just paying people to do tests during extra time, like how you said, I need somebody to edit this video. I need somebody to input this data. Outsourcing, I was just doing it, and I realized that's like a $4.39 billion industry by 2032. So I still hope we're still early in that. But anyway, going to show that there is value in doing something for others, education or no education, right? And still, there's always going to be market for that. So let's say hypothetically, I'm a billionaire right now, right? I have all the money I ever wanted in my life, but I don't want to do the dishes. I don't want to pet my dog or, as you see, I could do it, but that's taking me, this a rich person's mindset, by the way, that's what I've learned. This could take me 20 minutes, which I could have been using to finalize a deal. Or let me just pay somebody $100 to do dishes, which would have taken, by the way, 5 minutes. That's the power of freelance. Another thing is, I was thinking this morning that people don't really care about your degree. Rather, they care about the value that you provide to them and to others and also yourself. And this is me learning more about everything inside the education system versus the real world, which is outside the system. So somebody is going to start off as a software engineer, right? They did computer science in college and all that, and they're getting good money. Okay, good for you. But essentially, when you think about it, you're being paid to solve a problem in the code. You're being paid to debug. You're being paid to test the software over different iterations, right? You're not really being paid for the degree you got when you think about it. Which leads back to what I said, that your degree is not necessarily your career. And here's a fun fact. I have a friend who's literally a senior software engineer at Microsoft, but they did their undergrad in English and writing. I've done that for 4 years. Let me learn how to code in 6 months. Boom, Microsoft. And create code, all that stuff. I know somebody who's seriously a barista at Starbucks, serving coffee, helping customers, all that, land a product management role at Meta just because he could detail everything that he did on the job. How to make a cappuccino? Okay, let's take 1 glass of milk, add maybe a few soya beans, put some coffee, heat it until 150 degrees, all that. Just by detailing the process, the person hiring is thinking, we want this person on our team. We like how they think. We like how Justin analyzes the process, even though it's making coffee, but he will do the same thing for a product that we're building here. You have the job. And I can rest assure you that somebody like that maybe just did, for example, sociology, or did something like Africana studies, Slovak studies, Islamic studies, all that. But just by knowing that I'm interested in learning this in school doesn't have to mean that I have to get this career here. You can decide to plan that for 4 years, and that's great. Do the actual course, or you can learn from the experts who actually did it. What are the methodologies they're looking for in this company? And most likely, the degree is just a placeholder. They're saying, have a degree in this or this, or any relevant experience. This is something I've seen in many job descriptions. They say that have this degree, maybe 2 years of this experience, blah, blah, blah. Or because we understand, maybe you didn't go to college, maybe you taught yourself, or any relevant experience which adds up to this role. And then another thing is even the skills that you're getting from the degree itself, which is why I think the argument for making something that's making you money is something that you love. I think that might hold merit, because if you do something that you love, my personal example, philosophy, how am I going to make a living out of it? What value am I providing from it? Versus if I do something like computer science, again, at least I'm getting some tangible real world skills from computer science, right? I didn't have to go to college to learn how to code. Let's start there. But I decided, okay, let me just go to college. Okay. Even when I'm going to college, this is a degree, at least I'll learn something from and build upon, maybe add it to my personal repertoire and now take it to wherever I want to go. I don't know if I'll even be a software engineer for the rest of my life, but I know at least this degree gave me the skills, and I put the heart and mind and soul into learning the skills inside this degree. A degree you'll get from, say, the University of, okay, let's take computer science, one degree. Computer science in the University of Frankfurt will most likely not be the same as computer science in the University of Berlin, which will most likely not be the same as computer science in the University of, say, Schalke, right? The whole idea of the degree, computer science, is the same, computer science. But inside those schools, they're going to be different. Maybe this instructor, you don't like her, you don't like him. Maybe the modules in this course don't make sense in this school and all that. So what people end up doing is they transfer schools. They go to a different school hoping they get the experience, which, by the way, it can happen. Like, you can transfer and get it, good. Or realize it's going to be more expensive to transfer. Let me just teach myself. Self-education is very good. Let me teach myself. Let me learn what is not in this degree, what's not in this program, which is why the internet is a good resource. Okay, they didn't go over algorithms. They did not go about discrete math and all that stuff, which I know is important, but I'm not getting it from this school. And I don't want to pay 35,000 euros to transfer to this school when I can get the deficits on YouTube or on the internet. So you see, it's connecting two and two together, and how the internet is a democracy for education, whereby even if you're in school, you can still use, say, Tech Lead. You can still use, say, I forgot some huge Tech, his jokes, his funny insights, but still have computer science aspects to them and feel what you're not getting in your degree. I thought now skills in your degree and the deficits, that's also an interesting concept, looking at the whole thing. And just to finalize, learning is internal. Like, learning is going to be a lifelong process. It does not end in school. In many cases, it doesn't even begin in school. You are not going to do a whole media degree in your university and say, okay, boom, that's it. I'm a media professional now. Pay me my 10,000 bonus or whatever. The world is evolving. Like, everything we know is evolving, which is why in the 21st century, with the 19th century, education is not evolving as much as current times are. And for you to stay evolving, for you to stay adaptable, before AI comes and takes your job, you have to keep learning, right? Okay, there is social media. How can I use social media to learn video editing in ABC? Okay, there is Google search. How can I use Google to increase my learning capacity and my practicability in 1, 2, 3, blah, blah, blah. There is ChatGPT. There is AI. how can I use AI to make myself a better video extra, right? So learn as much as you can because it doesn't end in school. In Swahili, we say this proverb, literally translated, education is an ocean. There's no end. Learning has no limits to it. So make yourself a lifelong learner to add on to what you even learned in school, what you even learned from YouTube, the internet, blah, blah, blah. And yeah, you'll stay somebody really fascinating sometimes. That's something I just thought about.
It's a little bit like Robert Kiyosaki said, that you should pursue learning over earning money. And eventually, because you find something that you're really passionate about, you will learn more, you will go the extra mile, you will do it more. And then at the end, you will even earn more than just at the beginning going after what pays you $200 or $300 more in the beginning or whatever. And even college, it's like the starting point. It's like the first education, but the second one starts after actually doing it. Yeah.
Playing the infinite game, you can decide to learn just to get this job, just to get this paper, or learn, that's a finite game, or learn just for the sake of learning. And somebody who learns for the sake of learning will always be somebody who's trying to chase the finite game, trying to get $200 or $300.
Do you have anything else to say? You want to add something else? Maybe link your Instagram or your, what is it? Your blog, right? What's it called?
Carerra's fun.
I had it somewhere.
Yeah.
chroniclesofcarrera.com.
Yep.
Okay.
I think by the time, because I'm assuming that this is going to go public anytime soon, by the time you're watching this, maybe I'll have changed the domain. So just search Carerra's Chronicles. Right now it's chroniclesofcarrera.com. I'm actually going to change it to careerschronicles.com because I'm teaching myself SEO and domain stuff. Yeah, follow me on Instagram, just Carerra Titus Karaoke. Same thing on LinkedIn, Titus Karaoke. That's actually how you say my last name. Karaoke. I like it. My granddad's. Medium, I'm trying to get good prices on Medium. So if you're on Medium as well, just let's meet, let's share ideas over there. Instagram, Threads. That's actually how we met on Threads, and I appreciate it. And yeah, we'll see how things emanate within the next 5, 6, 10 years.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, we'll put your stuff. You can just send it to me and I'll put it in the description. Thank you so much for doing this. It was an awesome experience for me talking in English that much. I guess it's going to be better in the future a little bit.
I think, and I told you this, I think your English is really good. If anything, it will be me asking you how to speak your kind of English. Like, from what I'm seeing right now on the ground here in the US, you wouldn't be hard to assimilate with the local population, at least by how you speak. Like, I would not tell that you're German. And so I think you're really doing a great job. So just keep it up.
Thank you so much.
I got you, man.
Can we see those pen spinning skills again?
Oh, I learned this in high school back in Kenya. There's this, but I'm trying to rotate around the thumb. So something like this, it's still a work in progress. Yeah, you can see I'm learning failing.
No.
Just stick to this.
Awesome. Okay, let's finish this. Let's wrap this one up and then maybe talk again afterwards.
Sounds good.